Hey everyone, I'm Nico Cheap Bricks, and today I'm building a droid base in 2 days. I've never built a droid base. All I've built are clone bases and imperial bases, so I'm really gonna try and make this one look different. I'm very excited. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button for this video. And if you are new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button to not miss any Lego Star Wars content. I'm very excited to get building, so without further ado, let's get into it. So for this mock, I will be using 2 base plates, which perfectly fits on the table that I use. And for this base, I wanted to kind of switch it up in terms of, the way it looks and how I made the base. So I went ahead and started with the bottom part of the base being a full layer of dark bluish gray, rather than just building up light bluish gray. I thought it would look very cool and kind of add to that little droid effect, and adding something different to the color of the structure. Then I started doing the light bluish gray walls and elevating them for the base. For this base specifically, I didn't just want to do like a full square base, just like a base plate like I did for majority of clone bases and stuff like that. I wanted to do this one a little differently, so I kind of did a corner using like a little bit more than half of the first base plate, and then it taking up a little bit of the second base plate too. And then for some exterior detail, I did some slopes with the I don't specifically know what the piece is called, but it's kind of it's a 1x2 times 2. it's like a taller 1x2. I don't know the exact piece name, but I did that kind of as some like pillars for the outside structure. It looks very cool. So then I started to work on the roof, and there is no interior because with what I was going for, I really needed a strong structure, a strong base for the structure. So I just decided to use a bunch of bricks that I have to add structure inside the interior for the plates to hang on. And then I decided to build the midsection. So this is what I was talking about. I wanted, for this droid base, I wanted there to be a top section, but on a very small, very fortified base. So I started building it up in a square form, and I did like I did with the outside wall of the base. I added some pillars on some taller slopes to add just some more structure effect. And then I built a platform on top of that base it is not actually connected, it kind of just sits on top, so that is pretty cool. And I started tiling it off. So in the middle, I specifically added dark bluish gray tiles to kind of give it like an elevator, right? Like it opens up and a pad comes up, with some troops or something like that. A nice little detail, and I kind of like that. And then I added some canisters and some crates up there. And I placed down some plates as well so I could put droids there. And then once I was done with that, I pretty much just tiled the entire roof off. I added some details to the roof, which I will get into in the finished mock. Once the full base was done, it was time to work on the landscape, and this was day 2. So I wanted to do a little river, this is my second time attempting a river, and I think it turned out very well, which you will see later on. So I added some dark tan layering apart from the river, and then some sand, and then some grass, just for that added detail and, realism a little bit. So then I just started kind of messing with, okay, how do I want to make this river, look nice and stuff like that. So I messed around with a bunch of wedge pieces and stuff like that. But I think with what I got was pretty good. I kind of went with this rigid look where I just kind of put a bunch of wedge pieces opposite of each other, and it did turn out very cool. I really did like it. So then I started tiling off all the sand, mixing it with plates and tiles to give it that cool detail effect. And then I added the grass pieces, and pretty much the last thing to do was add a bunch of plant pieces to this grass area to not make it look so bland. And I had an idea where I have a bunch of these 3 or plant pieces with 3 little stems, and so I have a bunch of studs, so I was just started layering them and adding a bunch of plant pieces. So it definitely was a little bit tedious, and I definitely had enough in the end, or almost enough, but overall the effect was really nice. So once everything was done, it was time to add the minifigures. So I started layering droids, on the platform and at the base, because obviously this is a droid base. And then I did want a small clone attack force attacking the base, just add some more, added detail. Minifigures are a big part of this mock, so I placed them very strategically. And here is the finished droid base. I have to say, it turned out way better than I expected. I love the way this mock looks, and it is definitely one of my favorites and probably the best mock I've ever done, and that's you know, a very big accomplishment for me. So without further ado, let's get into the details. So starting off with the main highlight, which is the base itself. Down here I did have 2 droids, and I added a little background for the base, since the internal structure is just a bunch of bricks to hold up, you know, the roof and stuff like that. So, but I still wanted to make it, you know, not just an empty husk or like a door. You know, I wanted 2 droids to stand there, kind of like walking out. And then on the roof, starting here on the left side, so these, I've used these before as turrets, but I kind of had a good idea when putting 2 together like this. Is kind of like some 2 generators connecting, and I added some grill pieces down, kind of like internal wiring connecting both of them, and I think it turned out very well. It's kind of, you know, it could be like a generator of some sort. And same thing I did here on this other side. I had some of these like, I guess, wheel pieces you could call them, and I put 1 on each side with wiring doing this main kind of like generator wiring leading to this elevator, so it's kind of like maybe powering the elevator a little bit. And then here's another just generator there. So the tiling did look very nice, and I really did like using the grill pieces for, you know, that internal wiring. Then on the actual base itself, here are the pillars. It's just using a bunch of these pieces, and then there are 3 vents, 1 on each side and 1 right here. And like I said, the base doesn't connect or anything. It simply just sits on it. So it really is nice because you're not really going to be looking at it from an underside, and it really does look nice just from like this view. And then onto the pad itself. Like I said, in the building, this is like an elevator, so I had 2 droids standing up like they just came up. And then I have 3 droids shooting down to the clones, and then just some idle droids, kind of just to add some more, not make it feel so empty. And then there are some crates there and some canisters. So going on to the actual landscape of the mock, I sprinkled a bunch, pretty much my entire collection of these studs, plus these plant pieces here. Like I said, I used pretty much every single one, or I did use every single one, and it does look very nice. I added some droids firing at the clones and walking out of the base. And then over here, so this is where I kind of ran out a little bit, but I have a bunch of these 3 leaf plant pieces. So I used those to take up this space so it didn't feel empty, and I sprinkled in some of these leaf span pieces to make it look more natural. And then going on to the kind of like beach part of the mock with the river. Here is the beach part. It looks very nice with the tile and plate mix. And then over here are the clone troopers of the mock. So starting off on the river, this is what I was saying earlier in the building. Like I kind of made it very jagged, and mixing in these wedge pieces and altering them. And it did really give a nice little like closed look, I would say. And then I sprinkled in a bunch of these 1x1 clear slopes, kind of like the waves crashing against the land. So I had enough to kind of add it pretty much through the entire river. Just some more detail. They're kind of free flowing as well, so it is very cool. And then over here I used a bunch of these more 3 leaf plant pieces, and I stacked them by 3. So I built multiple of them to kind of add some more foresty area, like kind of like this side is the heavy forest, while this side's kind of, you know, the smaller leaf part. And I also made 2 clone troopers fire up at the droids, because, you know, they're not just gonna let you know, they're not just gonna let themselves get like sniped by the high ground. And so it definitely does look very nice. A little squad of clone troopers taking on this droid base. So I am very proud on how this base came out. So yeah, when planning for this video, I had a vision for this base, and I'm very glad I executed it. This was pretty much what I was going for. I really wanted to have, you know, the base and then a big mid structure with a platform on top. Just to kind of add that different look to it. You know, this is my first time kind of doing a base like this, and it definitely turned out very nice, and definitely makes me confident for future mocks and stuff like that. And I really do love doing this river, especially because this is my second time doing a river, and I definitely think this is a upgrade from the first time I did a river in a mock video a couple months back. So this was definitely an upgrade, especially with some new pieces that I got. So overall, I am very happy I built this mock, and it definitely turned out very awesome. I had a very fun time building this mock, If you enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like and hit that subscribe button to not miss any more LEGO Star Wars content. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.